Hi, everyone. Welcome back to my podcast where I interview my very interesting friends. So today I have a beautiful soul joining me. So let's see if he's on. Hello.
Hello, hello.
How are
Is it
you?
all connected now?
Yeah,
I'm absolutely divine. Thank you. How are you?
great. I'm amazing. I'm amazing. Do you want to introduce yourself really quick?
Yeah, sure. What I guess do you want to know? Like for me, in introduction, it can be vast or minute. For like me, I identify as no one and yet someone, playing a role and yet separate from it. Where I have a name, some characteristics, a mindset, emotions, like all these things, but that's not me. So I could go on endlessly speaking about my life and introducing Nathanael, this label of a name, or I could say that I am no one, a reflection of the infinite.
I
So,
love this. Yes, this is exactly what I want to hear. So
oh,
let's start off with Nathaniel, and then we're going to go bigger and bigger from then on.
bigger and bigger. Well, okay, Nathaniel, or my full name, Nathanael Benjamin Krueger, a name in which I gave myself at the time of being born, meaning gift to or gift from God, the infinite, which I cherish very dearly. So that's, I guess, the name in which I go about within this physical world or reality. I have 13 siblings. I'm the 11th, I guess, in that order, kind of, or the oldest of the last set of five. But I don't know, I could talk a lot about different scenarios within my life or aspects of hobbies or interests. But I'm not necessarily entirely sure what I guess you want to know within the introduction of Nathaniel. Where do you want me to go with that?
You know what? I think you're already so fascinating that whatever you say is just going to blow everyone's mind. So let us just start off with what you have in front of you. Can you
Oh,
describe what it is that you play? Yeah.
yeah. I'll try and show if you can see better. It's a harmonium from India. It's kind of pretty much like a miniature piano, but it's like a wind piano, so that like, in a sense, like you pump it to produce sound. Without a pump, it's just empty notes.
Ooh, I
So
see.
that's, I guess, a harmonium
Yes.
used for chanting or devotional singing to God in meditation.
And will you play for us today?
Yeah, of course.
Okay,
Do you want
good.
me to do that now?
If you'd like, yes. I'd love
Okay,
that. And we can get into discussion afterwards. Yes.
that sounds a wonderful way, I guess, to start this
Yeah,
out.
let's do it. Okay, I'm ready.
This one is Om Namo, Gurudev Namo, which is like Om, the universal creative intelligence. Namo, I bow to the Guru, the one that is the guide or the savior to that ultimate realization. So within this creative expression, bowing and honoring that savior or redeemer within and that guide, I guess. Just so you know, because it will be in Sanskrit, so not in English.
Okay.
Gurudev Namo, Gurudev Namo, Gurudeva Namo, Gurudev Namo, Gurudev Namo, Gurudeva Namo, 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 Namo,
That was beautiful. I
Thank you.
felt the energies through the webcam.
Oh,
You're so peaceful.
oh,
I love it.
thank you. Thank you for letting me express that way that I connect to the divinity with you.
Yeah, that was very powerful. I would love to be there in person and just feel this and just, sound bathe in it. Oh,
Um,
I think that would
we'll
be
have
so
to
incredible.
arrange a time.
Yes, I'll have to come over one day. Oh yeah, actually, describe where you live because I think
Oh,
that's very interesting.
yeah. Well, right now, actually, because I kind of like float around. Yes,
Yeah.
I live somewhere, but at the same time, like, I don't live anywhere. Like, I kind of just like go where the wind takes me. But here I'm in Spring City currently, which is a little town in Utah. It's by the mountains. There's very few people. Like, we don't have a grocery store in this little town. You have to go either north to the next town or down south to the next town to get groceries. And there's still some like dirt roads for like the driving roads in between houses. And it's just a cute little quiet, remote place where maybe you won't get stuck in traffic of cars, but you'll get stuck in traffic of cattle going around your car. Like it's just a whole different aspect than being in uh, a city.
Oh my God. Wow. And you mentioned that you guys drink the natural spring water, correct?
Yeah, so Spring City has spring water. So like pumping through like the pipes into like the tap water or faucet water is Spring City water from the spring. And so like we're having just natural spring water like here in Spring City.
Yeah, that's wonderful. And can you talk about your diet, like how
Yeah.
you eat?
So I'll give a little preface of my life
Yeah.
because a big portion of it goes to my mother, um, who raised me and my family raw vegan. So growing up, probably a lot of people now know what veganism is, but like 25 years ago, like people didn't know as much of the term, let alone raw vegan,
Yeah.
which is taking the normal aspect of like no meat, no dairy, but to nothing cooked or processed. So no stove, no oven, no microwave, nothing warmed up or processed, no breads, no cooked rices or grains or anything that is, yeah, processed or changed or like sugar and things. So we just ate everything fresh, like fresh fruit, fresh vegetables and nuts, nothing else. Like there was no aspect of like cooking or altering the food, letting it die under some heat, but having it in its rawest form where it has this pureness of energy. So that's like how I was raised. Granted, once I got into like school and things, it faded. But now I've gotten back into it as I've gotten more and more into meditation, where I'm in this different cycle of eating where I go in a circle of a week where I'll have my heaviest meals on one side of the circle, kind of like a yin and yang, and the lightest on the other side. And so with the heaviest meals, I would have Tuesday and Wednesday. I'll have one cooked meal, whether that just be something warmed up. In the midday, at the heaviest point when the sun is at its highest, so digestion is more proper. But I'll have just like fruit in the morning or juice. And then on the cusp of those days of Tuesday and Wednesday, so Monday and Thursday, I'll eat just completely raw, only fruits, vegetables. And then in the weekend from that, from Friday, so Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, I'll do fasting. So Friday, a dry fast, no food or water, no liquids. Saturday, just pure water. And then Sunday, I'll introduce some juice as I'm getting ready to go back in Monday to just the fruits. And then Tuesday. So it's like cyclinic, the heaviest to the lightest to the heaviest. Just
Wow.
continual flowing.
And how do you feel? How does this make you feel? Are you,
Oh,
go ahead.
yeah, absolutely divine. Like for me, it's one of the things is for meditation.
Yeah.
Like when you're on an empty stomach and you're at that third day of like fasting, you're not consuming solids. Your consciousness is in a whole different state of mind. Your emotions are clear. You're thinking, like your energy is completely different. People think like, oh yeah, you're drained. Okay, yeah, maybe day 2 is really hard. You're like struggling, you want to eat. But at the end of it, you're able to just put all that attention, all that energy that would normally be on digesting, because it's constantly, people are just eating all the time. But to be able to release that and let the organs rest and use that energy to go within and devote that,
Yeah.
oh, it's like this surge within the cells. It's beautiful. So
Yeah.
I'm enjoying it.
I understand because this has happened to me very recently. In January, I was able to see the life within fruits and vegetables, you know. So that's where I decided to cut meat altogether, and then a month later I decided to cut dairy. So now I just eat, you know, fruits and veggies. Not the way you do, not raw and not on a schedule, but I would love to get there one day. And after this very deep, intense experience I had with, I'm gonna say attunement, or like with like visual, like in-depth experience, like with me with my eyes open. After that, I I felt like I was being fed by the universe. Like I was not hungry at all. So I did not eat for 3 days. because I just felt so full and so satisfied, and just it was wonderful. But
That's so
of course, like,
beautiful.
huh? Oh, that's
That's
wonderful.
so beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah, it was such a surreal experience. Um, and yeah, I would love to just, it's a continuous work in process for me. I'm always like on and off, but I would love to just wholeheartedly put myself where you are one day, you know?
Well,
So
I slip from it too, you know, like if
yeah,
I go out with friends or something and it's like we're out on a weekend, like I'm not gonna all the time. Sometimes I'll keep to my fast, but like
yeah,
sometimes it would be impolite to
of
just
course.
not eat when everyone else is. So, you know, like I'll eat too and things and like, but and it is so true. One more point I wanted to bring up too is like the aspect of where then we're drawing in energy. Because you
Mhm.
were talking about this aspect of just feeling full and like just, you know, that wholeness, which is
Yeah,
like so beautiful. And generally when I'm fasting, because I'm not eating or like drinking on some of those dry fasts, I'll take more time out in the sun to gain like some
yeah,
energy through the sun. Or I'll do other aspects where like I'm still trying to regain energy within the body, you know,
yeah.
sometimes too, because through external sources, I mean, or internal as well.
Yeah, you're
Uh,
right. And the thing is, you have to be sensitive enough to allow that energy in. That's a thing. Most people do not have that sensitivity. And that's something you can fine tune. You know what I mean? Like, you
True,
can
that's true.
definitely work on that. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Oh, definitely. Like I feel like so much of like our natural senses or instincts have been perverted just from habit or like way that we've like raised. Nothing against like how people do things. Health is so relative, you know. Something could be healthy to one person and kill another person, you know. So like in an aspect, but I think that we've gone away from our natural inclinations of who we are as humans. I mean, people classify ourselves first as like omnivores, but like if you really look into aspects of it, like I wholly believe that we should be more categorized under the fruitarian aspect of a species based on like our body parts, our teeth, our length of spine, and all that. Like we would fit more into this aspect of um, this fruitarian, which is I guess a little bit beyond the point, but this aspect that because we've then been raised outside of something that is our normal or typical as a species, our bodies have naturally just adapted and like perverted it from it, where it's now our senses indulge in this aspect of eating often or eating all the time instead of giving time to rest, or like these aspects like with meat, like a lot of people get so I don't know, delighted at the tastes of meat. But in some ways, it's like, is it the meat itself or is it the spices or the flavors? You know, like
I
not
agree.
that I'm going into it, you know, but like we put like slaughterhouses away because like people don't like the sight of like raw bloody meat in this aspect, you know. But then, so like, how can it be our aspect of our diet? But we've tricked our senses in some ways or muddied them, like by doctoring them up.
Yep.
But like, if you think of like this beautiful fruit or something that's just like mouth watering, like that's a natural inclination where there's like your body naturally will just start to crave that. And I feel like for so long, like people just have put themselves out based on habit or like what they've just been used to, rather than really being in tune with their body.
Yeah, I agree. And you live, from what I see, in balance with nature. And that's what most people, especially in today's day and age, most people, that's hard to find here because, let's say you go to LA, it's central, like crazy busy, everything's, there's
Yeah,
barely any nature, like natural things out there. So, in that sense, it is very difficult, but it's not impossible.
yeah. There's always a way when there's a will, you know, like
Accurate.
if your mind, in
Yeah.
any aspect, whether in food or in happiness, like in thoughts, like if you make up your mind to be happy, nothing in the world or no one can make you unhappy, you know. And if you
Yeah.
make up your mind to be unhappy, no one and nothing in the world can make you happy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, we can talk all about that. I was that way a year ago, not even that long ago. 1 year ago, I was in that mindset. I was so in such a dark place last year because
Yeah.
exactly a year ago, that's when my back problems started getting bad, like
Yeah.
extremely bad. Something
Okay.
happened where I had a herniation, a disc herniation, and then one day something happened where it just went off. Like it just got bigger. I couldn't put my foot down on the ground. I couldn't go to work. I lost my job because of that. I had to stay in bed, this bed. I stayed in this bed for the next 44 days. What a divine number, honestly, now that I think back on it. Like
That's true.
for the next,
Numerology.
yeah, for the next 44 days, I laid in this bed miserable, alone, and just like angry in my pain until finally I got surgery. My body healed, but my mind was not healing. And that's where I found disconnect. I'm like, there's something wrong. And then it was just like a slap, just a slap from life. Like, here you go. Here is this knowledge. Do it, do with it what you will. And that is how I woke up. That was my awakening. It was just sudden, immediate. I understand now. Like, it was beautiful. It was like a bath in golden light. It was so beautiful.
Sounds so serene. And it's crazy because it's like you went through like such a dark point to then pierce through
Yeah.
into this beautiful light of it. Like
Yes.
I just love that whole aspect. Thank you for
Yeah.
sharing that.
Yes, of course. That without that dark, people need to realize like without this dark, there can be no light. You have to go through that darkness to get an equal and powerful amount of light within that. If that makes sense. Let me try to explain. So the amount of pain that I was in that dark, there's an equal and opposite amount of light waiting for you after you get through that dark. And that's just it just makes it all worth it. It makes that's life. Balance of light and dark.
Creation is light and shadow both, else there would be no picture.
Beautiful.
You know.
Do you want to go into your meditations? And
Oh, yeah. What about it? Like, what I like practice
yeah,
or like,
yeah, what you
or how I
practice,
got into
how
it?
often.
Or...
Yeah,
Okay.
everything.
Yeah. So, I guess my meditation is what I've learned from my guru. So I will go into a little bit of a history with that aspect, or gurus, which literally translates to that which dispels the darkness or brings the light. So my gurus are both, I'll go, there's 6 of them in a line, but Sri Bhagavan Krishna, Jesus Christ, Mahavatar Babaji, Lahiri Mahashaya, Swami Sri Yuktaswar Giri, and then the last one would be Paramahansa Yogananda, who's like, I guess, my direct guru.
Yeah.
And an aspect of that. Where I've learned meditation is from the techniques in which they have offered through their organization of Self-Realization Fellowship. But within that practice, it's kind of fluctuated from different points in my life. But what I try and do is at least have 4 meditations a day, at least currently. Within those 4, I will have it based on, because I have that week schedule of eating, but I have a daily schedule of consciousness and what I want to be accomplishing within the day. And at different points within each day, like the sunrise versus the sunset, the midday versus like midnight, you know, you have these 4 quarters. I want to be entering each different quarter, each different stage of the day in a mindset. So I'll try and have a meditation along each cusp. So right upon in the morning, I'll try and meditate, and I'll have my meditation from 4 to 6 in the morning, and then some other devotional and yoga practice. starting with the first 3 hours of the day. I'll have another half an hour to an hour before like midday, another half an hour at the eventide or like the evening, and then another hour and a half to 2 hours in the nighttime before entering into sleep. And so that's kind of like what I'm working with currently. Though that's my seated meditation times, I do try and carry that meditative mind throughout all I do to make my life a meditation, as it is a way of life, a state of consciousness, a state of being or existing.
Yeah.
I don't know how much more you wanted to know, or like what aspects of it.
No. That meditative state that you're talking about, I try to get into that too. Like I have my moments where I just feel so at peace while the people around me are just, they don't notice really, but internally am at peace, and whatever they say, I understand, but it flows over me. It does not penetrate, it does not hurt, it does not affect me in some extreme type of way. It just floats, and I do with it as I will, and that's just wonderful.
Yeah, and that pure detached or detached state of being.
Yeah.
But you're still in the world, but you're not of the world.
Yeah, you are very aware of what is happening, and you choose, you quite literally choose like what you would want to focus your attention on and what not to, how to go about your day. It just brings so much peace and balance into your whole life. And yeah, that's what more people need. I mean, that's what I realized after some dark things, not everybody can say that or do that. And I'm just so happy we can have this conversation. It's so enlightening. Yeah. Do you still have a sleep schedule that is all throughout the day?
Yeah. So I have been practicing a polyphasic sleep schedule throughout the summer, though I might readdress it once I start school next week and see if I'm still able to continue it within class schedules. Yeah. If so, then yes, I will, but I might have to alter it. But for those that don't know what a polyphasic sleep schedule, it's one of 3 ways that people sleep. Most people just know of like a normal sleep schedule where you sleep your period at the night or day if you're working in the night, I don't know. But you're one period in the day and then you're up the rest of the time. A biphasic sleep schedule is where then you would have a main segment of sleep and another segment of sleep, or some would call this like a nap if they nap throughout, like nap in the day. That's a biphasic sleep schedule because you're having 2 periods of sleep. Polyphasic would be anywhere from 3 and above. And so for me, I was trying to have 4 sections as well, just like my meditations, and I would pair them with it. So I'm going from subconscious to conscious and superconscious, and flowing through those in each different period as I'm entering these different states of mind, states of consciousness. And so I'm having sleep from midnight until 4 would be like my main one, and then 3 20-minute naps to create another hour. So I had to get, or I'd be up till 1. Most of the time it'd be 1. So 1 to 3 and then another hour. So 4 hours of sleep every day, but I would have like the 3 hours and then the 1 hour between the 3 naps.
Oh, I see. Okay, so in total, would that be 4 hours a day?
Yeah, in total it'd be 4 hours a day.
Wow, and that works for you?
Yeah.
Easy.
Like,
okay.
Again, it's hard, like if I'm traveling, which in the summer I was in California quite a few times and like other things. And so that becomes more difficult if you're just like, I gotta peace out, like, sorry people, I'm gonna go take my nap, and meditation. But benefits when I am following that and following my diet and things, there's just astronomical. Yeah. And so I was enjoying that. And like, there was even periods in my life when I was meditating more, when then I didn't need sleep. I could go days without sleep and I would just meditate instead. because it's an exchange, just like
Yeah.
sunlight instead of food, meditation instead of sleep,
Yeah.
an exchange of energy.
Yeah. Oh wow. This is, yeah, that's great. Mind-boggling.
Because, yeah, because I mean, if you think about it, when you're in sleep, you're never in true rest.
Yeah.
You're still have some cognitive functioning, the heart's still going, the lungs are still pumping, like there's still aspects. It's not complete rest.
Yeah.
But when deep meditation, if you can get to a point when you stop your breathing, you stop your heart, you stop your thoughts, and according to science, you're dead, in that aspect, if you're not breathing, your heart's not going, but you're consciously doing that, you're getting more rest than you ever could in the mere subconscious realm of sleep.
Yeah. I understand. Yes, totally. But that's the stopping of the heart when you're saying that's like in the meditative state, that can be between heartbeat and heartbeat, right in the middle. So that meditative state, just in that middle between heartbeats, you are able to extend that, just go deeper into that. Is that what you're saying?
No, like literally stop the heart. But yes.
Okay, but for how long? That's what I was trying to say.
Oh,
Or question.
That depends. Like ultimately, then maybe you can stop it for an hour. Stop it for 2 hours.
Wow. Okay. Like in real time or when you're in that meditative state?
Real time.
Wow. Okay.
Okay,
I
but
have
see,
not heard of that.
that's very, very difficult. But
Yeah.
that's what they talk about when you're going into these ecstasies, these trances, when you would see these yogis and these saints, that their body would become locked and they would be fixed in the lotus posture.
Yeah.
And they wouldn't be breathing. Their skin would turn cold, in a sense. And even like in some of the scriptures, like in the Bible, St. John saying, I die daily, like that could be a reference to that. Like there's other ones in Hindu scriptures where they're talking about stopping the breath, stopping the heart, stopping all the, like the mind, and you're dead to the physical world, but you're alive in consciousness, you're alive in spirit, and you're conscious of that body being fixed and locked, and you've transcended and gone into your other realm beyond this physical realm of the world. But yes, it takes a long time to get there, but in the meantime, enjoying the stillness between breath. Maybe you're getting so relaxed because it's an aspect of relaxation. If you can truly relax, you don't need to breathe. When you're anxious, your breathing increases. When you're angry or fearful or any aspect of these strong emotions, your breathing, your heartbeat is so much faster.
Yeah.
The more you're relaxed, you don't have a need to breathe. You don't have a need to have the heart beating because the cells aren't burning away. The cells are constantly replenishing themselves. And so it's not emitting into the bloodstream and into the heart. The whole system doesn't need to function because it's self-sustaining. So the key is also like relaxation, but even if you're just breathing slowly, that brings so much to the meditation, the mindset.
Yeah.
That's why most people say, oh, just take a deep breath. Why? Because breath is linked to the mind. Breath is linked to the consciousness.
Yeah.
So if you can control your breath, you can control your body, your emotion, your mind. Anyway, sorry, I would just ramble and ramble.
No, this is not rambling. This is very valuable information. That's all you have to do. Just breathe. That's it. That is it. Like people just need to take time to breathe at this point. It's just
like
breath
go out and do.
Yeah, breath can do so much for you. Just elongate that breath rather than having shallow short breaths. I read somewhere where we have taught ourselves unconsciously to breathe to the heart, not even, sometimes not even the heart, just breathe, very short, like just natural.
Sometimes the throat, even, not even down.
You have to train yourself to breathe down to your roots and up. That will bring peace throughout your whole day. So Let's just take a breath together right now. I just feel like we should do that.
Please.
Yes. Oh, this is so wonderful. I am so happy I can talk to you about stuff like this. You know, having
Likewise.
somebody with this brilliant mind, and I can like learn from you. Do
I
you? Yeah, thank you. Um, have I told you that I can sometimes like see things? I need to work on this 100%, but I can sometimes like see little energy balls or like someone's aura. Do you have experience in that? Like
um
seeing things visually?
yes and no, but like it's a whole different aspect for different people, you
Yeah.
know, like whether we're using the five senses in a sense, but more of like an astral sense rather than a physical sense, in an aspect of seeing things, hearing things, smelling, tasting. Those are probably the least common, smelling and tasting, or feeling things.
Mm,
Is on all aspects, but then of an intuitive sense as well. So where I might not necessarily always see things, I have a strong sense of feeling things,
yeah.
feeling truth, feeling an aspect, or like feeling what something might look like, but feel like that it looks like, if that makes sense.
Yes,
Like
yes, yes,
an
yes.
association with a person, whether that be a number, a color, an animal, a plant or some aspect, like sometimes within seeing person it just makes sense and I see that aspect or I feel that, and it's a way of understanding them through an aspect of like relation I understand within them, or like within my spine I feel a whole essence of truth as well, in that, what am I trying to say, like if something feels off, it's like in my spine it'll almost just like feel like it's clenching and like
Yeah.
twisting a little bit, and it's just like no, like that doesn't resonate, you know,
Yeah.
like in that sense. And it can be from a feeling of a person without even having to say something. There's just an aspect of, so feeling is my strongest aspect of like sense of like intuition, or an aspect where it's like that person feels like the energy of a five right now. Whatever that may mean, or the numerology behind that, but an
Yeah.
aspect of a feeling, or that person's
Wow.
really radiating this deep, serene, almost like pulling blue or something, you
Yeah.
know?
Yes.
Um, yeah, so like I would say that is my way of connecting or like relating in that aspect of whether that be auras or like um, angels or guides or aspects that's influencing in their lives or past lives or other things too.
Yeah. Okay.
That
So
makes sense.
yes, yes, absolutely. I know a few people who their strongest point is feeling, but I personally see things. Like I can, it's momentary. That's why I need to work on it more. You know, find a way to practice it. But when you mentioned you can feel a blue from this person, I can see that blue. I have seen that blue before. I've seen it on my grandma. It was a bright electric blue around her head. I've seen it on me, like my aura. I can like sometimes find it and just play with it. I've created like energy bubbles or energy balls, and just played with it like right here and just
I love
hung it
playing with
up.
them.
Yeah. And I was gonna mention like around you right now through the camera screen, I see like a just golden aura. And I know it's you because
You
you
know,
are just a golden light. You're just pure light.
thank you. And you
Yeah.
know what's the most fascinating?
Yes.
Someone had just mentioned seeing yellow around me, this aspect, the other day. So
Really?
you confirming this is just ah beautiful.
Yeah.
So I honor you in that
Wow.
regard.
Wow.
Thank you.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, it's very clear to me. It's in your shape, but it's around you. And yeah, I'm assuming that's your aura and how powerfully attached you are to it. Amazing. Amazing. Okay.
And I wholly believe that it's like a muscle. The more you're working with it, the more you will develop it and see more and more and more and get in tune with it, because I think it's something that truly can be developed, you know? So I love that you have that skill, and I can't wait to see how it continues to blossom through you, and how you continue to blossom in that aspect and bless the lives around you with that gift.
Yeah, yes, those words resonate deep with me, because that is exactly what I want. I want to work on this somehow and create, wrap my life around it. I kicked my desk again. Somehow make it into a profession, because one of my first experiences into this was so powerful. I'm like, I envisioned my whole life with this. Like, this is a part of my life, and that is where I will live the happiest. And I saw it. I just saw the path of where my life could go with, as I, gather this power and just work on it and, empower it, like fine tune that part of me. Because I tell this to other people, and some of them don't, they don't see what I see. But I would love to find a guide or a teacher or somebody who does have these skills where I can like learn alongside them,
That would be so beautiful.
Yeah,
and
I'm looking.
I can see the passion within you. And it was interesting. And like I said, I don't necessarily see things or other aspects, but as you were saying that, this aspect of what I was like feeling, or aspect was like this beautiful like beam, but it wasn't like around, but it was like weird because it was like a stream, but like coming from behind over, like through past your right eye down into your heart, of this beautiful green of like vibrant, and I had like lighter and darker greens of like this force like just thriving into the heart, which is the heart center, that aspect. So I could just feel that passion as you were feeling your heart with what you were speaking, as like this knowledge was coming through. I don't know. That's just what I felt as you were speaking.
Wow.
It was beautiful.
Wow. I love that. I love that. Okay, I think this is a good transition into manifestation. You want to talk about that? Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Within manifestation, it can be, I don't know, a broad topic is, no, but okay, actually, I think I know where I want to begin, because I'm a sole believer of like everything, like you create your environment in so many aspects. Like, yes, so many things are coming into you, but I believe that like you're a sole creator of everything that confronts you in this world, based on an aspect of having free will and choice, and an aspect to go about in this creation. There's this beautiful quote by Sri Dayamata, the saint, and she said it just one time that I was hearing in this talk, that was, man proposes, God disposes. And for me, an aspect of God, any aspect, whether that be love or consciousness or being, some aspect of God, but like that you're proposing this, you're having this intention, this purpose or this thought, and God disposes, or the universe disposes, like it gives it back. And where your attention is going, energy is flowing. Where energy is flowing, there's your consciousness. So there you are. So you're like manifesting the next step into your life. You're manifesting what's coming to you. You're manifesting, you're playing with creation, the particles of creation, manipulating it into what you want to create. Or if you don't know that you're doing this, then we find ourselves sometimes in self-created misery, like when we're bringing on like negative experiences, maybe having negative thoughts. Not to say that like negative things don't come on their own, but an aspect, like thought is the most potent force in this universe in an aspect. And so by thinking something and putting intention and willpower, and then as we're like doing this, you're slowly bringing in that vibration and condensing it, just like water freezing into ice. You're condensing it by your intensity of thought, of intention, to bring to fruition whatever you want. Like manifesting is so powerful. It's just like beautiful, and I feel like so many people don't necessarily understand it, which is a shame because it's such a beautiful tool that we've
Yeah.
been given.
Yes, 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 I agree. And do you have any words of wisdom to those people who are trying to understand but don't know how to, or what exactly it is?
I would say first, an aspect is of the mind, um, positive thinking, because like I was saying earlier, if you make up your mind to be happy, nothing in the world, no one in the world can make you unhappy. If you make up your mind to be unhappy, no one nor nothing in the world can make you happy. Having an unshakable mindset, and whether it's in faith or an aspect of knowledge, just being able to be devoted and trust. When water from a mountain starts snow from a mountain starts melting down into water, it will start to run down the mountain, and where it's is like already soft, or if there's any grooves, it will start to cut into the mountains, slowly getting deeper and wider, creating a little stream. From that stream, and then the next winter, next spring, it will start to melt again and go deeper and wider until it becomes a river, until it becomes this huge, massive one, like the Mississippi or somewhere. But the analogy of this aspect is it starts with little drops, in a sense, or a little bit of melting, but it becomes this vast stream. And our mind is like that. Or it's electrical in nature, where if we're sending that thought, it might be a little trickle. Okay, so nothing's happening right away. Don't give up. Just keep putting it there, putting the mind there, putting the attention there, until like the water, it cuts deeper and wider, and allowing all the floodgate of that energy to be going into that direction to manifest what you want. It will be hard, but if you're dedicated and persevere, there's the analogies of like the plant, where you plant the seed and forever, it's under the darkness, and you just keep watering it until finally it pops through, and it grows. There's patience, and that is needed, but ultimately it cannot fail if you persevere long enough.
Yeah, I believe belief is a big aspect. So if you believe, it will come sooner or later, and that's where patience comes in. You need to believe over time. It's not just a one-time thing and done. You have to believe in order to perceive, I guess.
Oh, I love that. Believe to
Yeah,
perceive.
yeah, yeah,
And believe in belief itself.
yeah.
Some people believe without even believing belief. So how then can they really believe?
Exactly. And that's where
If
the
that makes
mind,
sense.
yeah, that's where the mind comes in. The mind overthinks, and there's just layer on top of layer on top of layer. That's where you need to break through and find that truth, that one.
Then links us back to breath and slowing the breath to slow the mind.
Exactly,
Oh,
exactly.
it all is a link, a beautiful link.
Yeah, yeah. I have some personal experiences with manifestation as well. Um,
Oh, yeah.
for example, this necklace. I've been wanting a necklace like this, like a pendant, and my cousin just gave it to me without even knowing that I've been wanting it. And I could say the same about this Bible that I received. I've been wanting one just because, I don't know, I just became open to it. I'm like, it is time for me to have a Bible in my room and read through it. And a week later, 1 week, not even that long, 1 week later, my friend is like, oh, I'm trying to get rid of this Bible that my ex gave me. And I'm like, wow, she doesn't even know that I've been wanting this, but she just said it. So I'm like, okay, give it to me. I want it.
So it's
Yeah,
beautiful.
beautiful. Yeah, and it could be bigger than this. It could be manifestation could be your whole life. It doesn't have to be just tiny items here and there. You can envision your life and work your way to get there. As long as you believe that it will happen, no matter how big If you can think of it, you can do it, or it does exist. That's what I deeply believe. So there is never, I will never tell anybody you can't do that, because you can do anything. You can do anything you want.
True.
Yeah. Okay, speaking of Bible, let's
Yeah.
move to Jesus. I want you
Yeah.
to talk about, I just want you to talk about everything he has taught you. Love, consciousness, anything you would want to bring up.
Okay. Within Jesus,
Mhm.
or Jesus the Christ, it's beautiful because he was such an exemplar of so many things.
Yeah.
But to me, the most beautiful example was the consciousness in which he held. Within creation, I had already mentioned 3 levels of consciousness earlier when talking about sleep: subconscious, conscious or wakeful, superconscious in a meditative state. Beyond that, there would be a Kutashta Chaitanya consciousness or Christ consciousness. Beyond that, a cosmic consciousness. This aspect of a state of being would be so difficult to relate to if we didn't have something in which then we could see or interact with.
Yeah.
To have that come down, to understand that level of consciousness in man is beautiful because it's the state in which Jesus held. So for him to come down and hold this state of omnipresence, of knowing who and what he is within creation, knowing that I and my Father are one, that consciousness where he was in every particle of creation and beyond creation itself, and yet within creation, and all 3 aspects of the dream, the dreamer, and the dreamt. And so this way of like allowing for us to relate and understand what it's like to be in that state of consciousness by being an example lifts up our heart. I mean, like when seeing a photo of Christ, I get great upliftment because I understand consciousness and what he's resembling.
Yeah.
One of the biggest lessons, though, that he has taught for me, or one of my, like, the words in which resemble most is, be still and know that I am God. Because that's that aspect. Remember when I was saying, stopping the heart, stopping the lungs, stopping the mind, relaxing down to be still and know that's already what we are. We don't have to go out and do things. We don't need things to be happy. Nothing can ever give us anything. How can any article or any artifact, I guess, give us any joy? I mean, people say, oh, I want this new car, I want this new house, I want friends, I want this. And when they get it, they're like, oh, I'm so happy now. It's like, no, that didn't give you any happiness. Why? Because it was the mind that was distorted in the first sense. It was like muddy water that was just restless, saying, I want this, I want this, I want this monkey mind, until it finally got it. The mind, once receiving it, it's like, ooh, calmed down enough to realize the joy that was already within you, that then you think, oh, this gave me happiness, and then you go out seeking for more. It's temporary. It's not lasting.
Yeah.
But he's saying, no, be still and know that you are God. You already are that infinite consciousness, that infinite bliss, that infinite light, that love. You just have to realize it, improve your knowing, calm down enough, calm down the desires, calm down the mind, and know who you are, what you are. I don't know, like those are just kind of like the first initial thoughts that come to me when thinking about Christ and what I've learned from him.
Yeah, he had love for everything until his last moments. Didn't he say that the only reason he's still here while he was suffering was because there was love for him there, and he will only leave when the love is, like, I guess, not there anymore. He has this powerful, extreme love towards everybody, even the people who hurt him. So what are your thoughts on love?
Love. Well, I mean, I love love. And first talking about the love of Christ is the universal love, the true, pure, untainted love. Because even though people were crucifying him and just that torture he went through at the end, And like you were saying, but like another set of words in which he used too
Yes.
at that time was, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do.
Yeah.
That aspect that even though they're killing him, and he says, forgive them.
Yeah.
Forgive them, because I see the spark of the divine in them. I see that they are my brothers, they are my sisters, they are my one. That love is pure. That love is everything. And that love alone can change the world. Love alone is everything. You know, like to me, the greatest sin is ignorance, and ignorance of the idea of separate existence, of the individuality instead of this conjoined aspect of love that is this magnetism drawing everything back in, connecting everything. Love is so powerful, it's so healing. It brings unity within chaos and disorder, within an aspect of spreading out with nothing. But it's uniting all of us back into what we really are, or what we, I guess, how we relate.
Yeah.
Like, we can all be drops within the same ocean, but then looking in that aspect of us as the ocean rather than I'm this drop and separate from this ocean. Does that make sense? You know, like love is that unity that like merges us, that heals us, that connects us.
Yeah, and it is within. It is within everybody. It is not external. That is the mindset that I had previously, that everything is external, everything I have to go out and search for, and you know, all that. But it's more of a finding, you know, you just find it one day within. You don't go out and seek it, you know. And
sometimes it finds you.
Yeah.
Yes. Like a little spring blossoming forth and just pouring from your soul.
You're right. When you need it the most, like me, when I needed it the most, it came to me. It was wonderful.
That's so true.
Yeah. Let me talk about how you mentioned the ocean and like being a drop of the ocean. So I want to talk about my like, experience that I had.
Please.
Regarding that, or regarding my visuals, you know, like attunement. So I was at my aunt's house in June, I'm gonna say. And she was having a meditation with my cousins and her husband. So I walk in and I'm already feeling peaceful. The music is on, the meditation music's on, the incense are on, crystals. She sells crystals, so she has half her apartment is full of just crystals. So the power there was just already intense, especially being in a meditative state. I just felt the clean energy in that house. And so my uncle goes down to get my cousins from the front door because they lived in an apartment. So he had to go downstairs and get them. And my aunt started talking to me about how she has been seeing a psychic because she's been wanting to have a child. So she's like, my psychic told me that there is a ball of life and I need to bring it down and bring it within myself. I need to envision a ball of life. And I look at her, I'm like, yeah, she's right. I see it like right above you. It's hanging right there. Like all you have to do is just let it in. And she's like, how do I do that? And I'm like, do you want me to help? And at this point, I am not me anymore. I am a higher me, a spiritual me, a bigger, more powerful me taking over. And she's like, yeah, sure. And I said, okay, so what I need you to do is lay down and take deep breaths. That is it. She lays down. Immediately, I grab this ball. And again, I don't know how I'm doing this, but I grab this ball. It's in my hands. And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna like put it into your solar plexus, which is the opening of life, like the belly button area. That is where the tense energy of all humans, that's where life is. This is where it rests, just right here, just the ball. And that's where the string comes from, the golden string up the spine. That's where it shoots out of. Anyway, I push it in, and then immediately, like a hologram of her body pops up in front of my face. And it's so delicate. I feel like I'm doing surgery, and my hands start shaking because I'm realizing, what am I doing right now? I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm doing it. Anyway, so that ball is inside of her, and I see it. And so I like condense it and I turn it into like a little string. So that way she's aligned, her chakras and everything are just, she is at one. That is what I tried to make of her, of that little hologram that I saw. And as soon as I finished, my uncle comes upstairs, or he opens the door. And it was divine timing. It just felt like the world stopped for me to do this. And it was just so powerful. I sat there. I sat still. I had a pen and paper, and I just wrote. I wrote the things that were coming to me. I was crying, but tears of joy, tears of happiness, while my cousins and my aunt and uncle were just on the side just talking. You know, to them nothing happened, but to me my whole world shifted. And that's where my interest in this attunement or in this energy balls, and that's where it stems from, because I had that deep experience there. And yeah, it was just crazy.
Absolutely divine.
Yeah.
Like I loved every aspect of that, and like the truth in which that held was poetic. I loved it.
Yes.
So
Yes,
thank you
thank you.
for sharing that beautiful divine experience.
Thank you. But I think, okay, that's where the ocean comes in. I forgot to mention that. Yeah. I called my cousin right after it happened. I called her to tell her what happened to me, and she believed me. She was one of the first and only ones who like deeply resonated with what I was saying. So she immediately believed me. We cried together over the phone for like a good 2 minutes. We shared this experience over the phone, and I felt a web of connection in the world. So she texted me after the phone call saying that her friend called and told her this exact phrase. She said, "Thank God I did not have this baby, because I would not have gotten this promotion." So what happened to me was I envisioned me pulling that string or that ball down and somewhat like taking away somebody else's desire, you know, because she didn't want a baby at that time, even though she had the power to. So I took that power and gave it to my aunt. I just pushed it. I just helped her, you know, like a string.
It's incredible. So powerful.
I know.
So,
Yeah, that
I
was.
love it. The expression of unity between all creation, all beings, all living beings.
And this is the power we all have. We all share this power. We all have the power to help each other in this way. Deep desires. But I don't know, we've been conditioned not to.
It's true.
Yeah.
And rather to hate and isolation.
Yeah. That's why I deeply believe in prayer now. I know the powers of it, meditation, all that. Do you pray? Or do you meditate? Yeah? Okay. Well,
yeah. I will pray in my meditations when I get to a point in which I can commune with an aspect. At that point, though, in those meditations, it's not a prayer of words, but a prayer of energy.
Yeah.
A prayer of silence with my beloved. You know, where we're both in that presence together, but no one taints it with a word yet in sense. After that, at the close of my meditations too, I do worldwide prayers, and I do prayers for other individuals, and I do healing services, and I do other aspects of spreading light and love to those in need of it, or like what is needed for that person. Not necessarily getting someone out of a situation, but maybe what situation they need to go through.
Yeah.
Which is an interesting aspect of prayer, because I know like sometimes people pray that to change an event too, but sometimes I pray for the right event for them. That makes sense too, which is interesting. But in that aspect too, I'll share one aspect when I do it, because it's related to love, which we were talking about, and unity. But I'll start within my heart, center into it, and I'll feel like a little pulse of love until it slowly starts expanding, like that ball of energy, and keep, as I breathe in, go out farther, until my whole body, until my room, until the house, until this town, until the city, until the state, until the entire world is just bathing in this pulse of love, and then focusing on all the light of each soul or each living thing, and then penetrating through and weaving this web of light and love, pulsing, and then spreading that out into the universe, into like every aspect of infinity. And that's how I like to close the end of like my prayers and meditations, on that expanse of love through the universe.
Wow, that is so powerful. Yes, I want to get there. And I'm sure I will. I will. Oh my
We'll
God.
have to pray together sometime and connect our energies, connect our hearts and our souls.
Yes, 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 yes. We will do that 100%. I will reach out to you. Okay.
Great. Thank you.
Oh my God. But speaking of energies, can we go into masculine and feminine? The balance of those, yin yang. We can talk about how everything is connected.
Definitely. So I'll talk on not a mundane sense, but on a physical sense versus like an energetical sense as well, because I feel like there's two different aspects within it. If we're talking about like the sex of a person versus like the gender of a person versus like the energy of a person, kind of like three things in a sense.
Okay. Yes.
So like my sex is male, but like I identify more as gender queer or non-binary, where I'm not necessarily conforming to like a male or a female or any aspect of it, gender-wise or role-wise. But in the same sense, energetically, I feel like there's a different play. If I were to identify as a male, I could have a female energy, or I could identify as a female and have a male energy, or female feminine energy in an aspect, right? Like there's different plays where like I feel like we all have both in. Maybe we have a prominent or a less prominent, or low prominence in both, or high prominence in both. There's this whole exchange of energy where like for me, I feel like my essence is inner essence, or more energetical, is a lot more feminine, where my outward is more masculine. So I say I have a feminine masculinity is like how I address with myself, because I feel like this inner aspect of the feminine energy, which I would link with and not limit to, but an aspect of like the aspect of emotions and this concern, this feeling, this empathy and love, where like a masculine energy, this isn't like male or female, but the energy behind it, like yin yang, of being like more of this, the intellectual aspect of it. And that's not to say like males are intellectual or females are not, nothing like that. Like that's not what I'm getting at, but more of like differentiating between like white and black, like these two opposites, not necessarily saying one is for females and one's for males, but these just two different energies of emotion and reason, or emotion and intellect, and how they interplay within a person. And I feel like most people that are have a concept of drawing out of another, like if I'm more feminine, maybe getting with a masculine person and drawing out or balancing each other. But I feel like a lot of times, like you can balance that within yourself. Ultimately, we already have both masculine, feminine energies within us. It's just a matter of awakening or using the wholeness of ourselves, if that makes sense, to our potentials, you know, because it's not like people don't have emotions or people don't have thoughts or aspects, but in an energetical tendency to have a predominance, and how then to balance it or express it, whether that's then through gender or through your sex or not, like, but in an energetical sense as well. Does that make any sense, or am I kind of just like throwing a lot of terms in
It
a
makes sense
wishy-washy
to
way?
me. No, it makes sense to me.
Okay.
I was gonna ask, like, how does it feel between feminine and masculine energies? Is the feminine more caring? Is it more intuitive? Is the masculine more logical? Is it more analytical? Do you have any specific feelings within each energy?
Yes, definitely. I would say the approach to things.
Okay.
Like energy of like a feminine, in a sense, like energy, not like females, but that of receiving, receptivity, reflectivity. And like, so with yin and yang, yang being feminine generally, and black in its nature is like the receptive or the negative, right? And so in that aspect, the black is like the reflection too, reflective, receptive, where like the or the inward pulling, where the yin or the masculine is the outward pulling, the expressive, like so you would see like day and night, like father, sun, mother, moon, in a sense, where it's like this active versus passive versus like receptive, or in an aspect of giving. So like this emotional balance and this logical, or like straightforward versus like curved and caressing, or soft and gentle, direct. You know, like they're opposites that complete each other and balance each other by their opposition. And when in union, they create the perfect flow.
Yeah.
Because if something's everywhere, ever flowing, and has no structure, and then you give something that only has structure and you merge them, then they have a balance between adaptability and form. You know? I'd say those are kind of like the bigger differences for me, and how then they play together.
Yes. Have you heard of ayahuasca and all the other psychedelic drugs?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I have heard ayahuasca is more of a feminine energy, that it takes you through your traumas and it makes you heal through those traumas. Whereas there's another one, what is it called? Peyote, I think,
Oh, uh-huh.
which is more
Peyote?
masculine. Yes, that. Yes, peyote. Yeah, which is more masculine, which I don't know. I guess that one more directly makes you heal rather than taking you through the trauma. I'm not sure. I haven't done anything like that, but have you heard, and can you share any knowledge that you have?
I don't have any knowledge on either of them.
Okay.
But I would say, from just what you had said, it does sound like the experience I've had within like energy and aspect of like taking through versus like directness and aspect.
Yes.
But it is,
It's used in ceremonies a lot, and it's used
yeah,
for self-healing.
yeah, in some beautiful places, like some of the shamans doing those ceremonies is actually really, really intriguing. So I have thought about like experiencing that if I was like in the right environment to experience that culture, to experience why they honor that. It would be really intriguing uh, to see. So I don't know if I ever will, but
Yeah.
I have thought
I
about it.
agree. I agree.
So.
That would be a very interesting experience. I believe it. Um, so regarding energies, we talked about masculine, feminine. How about like reincarnation, or like past lives, or whatever you can say about that?
Yeah. So I I definitely believe in reincarnation and past lives as a stage of evolution, if that makes sense. Like mixing up as an aspect of all of creation. When creating, whether we're first starting with the aspect of light and vibration and sound and going into condensing into minerals, like the mineral kingdom or the innate kingdom, inanimate kingdom. Then like as it progresses through love, as it's making more cognitive, going into plants that are like drawing together in common goals and their expression of life and love. And so as this, I'm talking as an aspect of reincarnation, and I will get to the point of humans, but then as it continues on its progression, going into the animal kingdom, being able to sense the external world, see and interact, and then into being able to reason and act as a man, and then going into the aspect of the deva or the angel class, and progressing into then finally free or sannyasi, liberated one. That I would say is the progression or progress of a soul and essence of an individual processing through, taking millions of incarnations even before to get to an aspect of a human, and then how many hundreds of thousands just to maybe how we are. Maybe some people are before, and that's where an aspect of old soul comes in, that you've already lived so many human lives, going toward the deva or the angel class or aspect before being free or sannyasi. But I definitely believe that you are sum total of all of your previous incarnations, all of your previous habits, that maybe you don't remember them, but then in an aspect that you come back and you're moving forward. Not in a sense that you would like come back then as like a rock or come back as some animal, but that it's a steady progress forward. And as soon as you hit the point of like human, where you have reason and will, then you're facing the consequences, even though if you're reincarnating, then maybe different situations you're put into. But then you have to work out that karmic debt, whether that karma was burnt, like created past lives or in this life, based on previous actions. But that, yes, there is a progression of the soul, that there is life after life as we're moving on toward our goal back into the formless absolute. Just kind of like, I would explain it as like a tree when in spring it gets all its new buds, comes up into life, into like the leaves, and then it changes color in the fall and then loses its leaf. But the tree keeps on growing, even though it's getting new bodies of leaves. In the same way, we're getting new bodies, but we have that same core that's still growing and growing and progressing out, reaching. As we're just donning another robe of another character.
I see. So you're speaking more spiritually, like more soully, right? As evolution. Yep. Okay. Because when you first began talking about it, I envisioned molecules, like molecularly we are the stars. So we have all that history within us, within our bodies, that we can channel as long as we go deep into that and are able to feel one molecule, like not as a whole body, but go into your hand, let's say, and just feel your hand, like spiritually deeply, and go deeper and smaller until you feel the power of the stars just resting right in your hand. So I believe, that was new knowledge that you just gave to me. I always envisioned like physically, but spiritually, having an evolution, that totally makes sense too.
And I would completely agree with what you said as well, because think about it, if we're starting from the aspect of the elements,
yes,
the body still has gross chemical elements, like in an aspect, it's like we've taken and we have that history too, that knowledge of how does earth relate to us?
Yeah.
How does fire or water, these expressions, not the actual elements themselves, but the essence of those 5 types of elements in a sense, and how they play, the essence of the growth of the plants, you know, their energies and their history too, of the stars, of the planets, of the moons, of the solar systems, of the animals, you know, like I feel like we have all that history within us as well. And we're a sum total. So yeah, I would totally, and I would put that with it, and that then we can merge and have this body, but have that be our ultimate body as well, that we can take on the body of infinity.
Yes. Yes, this is why a lot of gurus, a lot of people have been saying that humans are very divine creatures because we are both animal and from God, spiritual. So we have all this knowledge within us, and we have all this power, and it's just fascinating. Yeah, we are a connection between animal and the divine. Yeah, we are right there. We are in the middle between animal and divine.
Which I love so much, because we have so much power in that aspect that we can free ourselves.
Yeah.
We can. You know,
Yes.
we can merge into everything. We can be all of this and overcome our animalistic tendencies of a human. You know?
Yes. Yeah.
And
Or embrace it as well. Because embracing that turns you into this fascinating creature, not just, you know, not just being part one more than the other. If you embrace both, that is, I think, yeah, that's where your speak of ignorance comes in. So because if you focus on one, you're being ignorant to the other. You are, you know, consciously or maybe unconsciously ignoring the other. Whereas human beings as a whole, we are that medium, you know, we are life experiencing life.
True.
Beautiful.
I would say, like, in that aspect, it's beauty because of where then our mind is, which I like that you're saying that, because being aware of that, it puts us in a state of detachment, but still addressing of it.
Yeah.
That we're working through this is us, but at the same time, our mindset is in a much more beautiful place. So thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, 100%. Have you had any visions or feelings of any specific past lives for you specifically, like your current state? Have you seen your most recent past life or anything?
Yes. Though though in some ways I wish I wouldn't have.
Oh, okay.
Because if we are always progressing in an aspect, right? And this is per se then our best self, and we look back at other places where we weren't quite there before and we're still learning lessons, making bigger mistakes, to see that. I mean, here we can get caught up on something bad that we did, and that can throw us off for so long, you know, we can get down on ourselves. Then to look back and see in a life, I'm not saying I only have seen bad things, not at all, but like to see other things, it's just like, wow, that's where it is. It is beautiful because it's like, okay, that's where I came from. But at the same time, it's like, it's a blessing and it's also a curse to sometimes see the past. And that's why I'm glad that like we come sometimes with a veil of ignorance between not just knowing every single life that we've lived, because any mistake that we made, or like if we died from a disease like cancer or something, and then we came back and then we start having a growth or something, we might like get so worried and worry ourselves into sickness. So like I do want to share some things maybe of a past life, but I would hesitate because I know a lot of people want to like look into what was my past life, what was it, looking for something greater, when I'm thinking more of like how can we make our future better in an aspect, you know?
Yeah.
So I'm just putting that out there because there are some beautiful moments, especially when it's more so with connections of people. When I meet a person and I find sometimes a connection, there's an aspect when I know I've shared a past life with that person. That's where I cherish that memory. when I'm like, oh, I know this soul. We're close. Let me cherish what we've already created before. Like, that's the beauty to me. And whether I know, like, okay, this person was, instead of like my mother, maybe like was my sister, or like was a friend, or like, like it can be a whole dynamic, and it's fun to watch the exchange of like characters in this world as we interrelate with other humans of like what they meant. And it brings back the universal Christ love of like, how can we love one more than another when in one sense, we've had so many different relations with so many different people. We should have a universal love because we're all united anyway. But saying that, I still haven't necessarily spoken of any past lives because I haven't seen any direct previous ones right away, more like a series of ones before. And generally with souls that I've connected, that will spark the memory sometimes. And the interaction of how then I've related with this soul in that life before, how then I got along, or what was the bond, what were the memories that we cherished, or the love that we formed. And I love that. I love when I can find that. And sometimes it can be in the negative sense too, in first that like, oh, there's a karmic tie with this person. How can I heal this? How can I resolve something that ended negatively in a previous life? So I know that those answers were vague and probably not what you were maybe looking for, because I know a lot of people have a lot different perspectives on previous incarnations than me, but that's at least my own experiences with things without revealing too much.
Yeah. No, everything you're saying is it's spot on. It's perfect. I love everything you're saying. I have felt that before with people. Like, I'm like, oh, there must have been something, in a past life that you just connect so well with those people. You have this feeling, you have this remembering.
Like, for example.
Okay.
Because, sorry, I probably should.
No, go.
But in that aspect, meeting Jill, within 5 seconds of meeting, there was a connect. It wasn't like, oh, like, who was this person? It was just like, hey, like, there was a comfortability. Yeah. How can you get that if you didn't have a connection before?
Yeah.
How can you have that connection? Like, there was this sweet exchange of energy, like, from the moment of us meeting, at least on my end, where it was like, I saw you and I was like, oh, the familiarity, the sweetness. There's like this aspect that I was like, I knew, like, okay, there was something before. There was something before.
Yeah, there must have been. Definitely. Wow, how beautiful. I love this.
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe in private I'll tell you what I saw about with that too another time.
Another time. Okay, I'm very excited. Yes.
I'm not sure if I'm ready to disclose that.
Okay, we don't have to.
But I'll tell you.
I'd love to hear it. Yeah, I'd love to hear it. Okay, and I know this is very juicy and very deeply personal that I want to get into. But in your physical past self, before all this, I know you've been through some dark stuff. Would you like to go into them?
Yeah, I can share a story or two.
Okay.
That maybe will be of help to see or give light to the aspect that no matter what, anything is attainable.
Yes. And I can.
So in that light, I will open up some of Nathanael's past, which is dead to me now, because I feel like you can reincarnate within your own life anyway.
I agree.
That Nathanael is dead.
There's like a shedding. There's an old self shedding that you can do. And
yes.
Yeah, I've experienced that as well.
So
okay, I'm ready.
Before I was suffering or struggling so much in the realm of mental and emotional struggles. I'll first say, I'll put it out that way, where I was very suicidal. I was having a lot of aspects of not knowing maybe exactly what I was. I never diagnosed myself with anything, so I'm not saying that I was anything, but just based on my experience, because I was too even shy to go out and see if I was. But an aspect of struggling with mood shifts, of going into these deep, deep, deep lows, and then having these big, big, big highs, almost like an aspect of bipolar. And I know like these are serious things. So I'm not saying like that I was, because I never properly got diagnosed with anything. So I know I want to be respectful of those who do truly suffer with things and are diagnosed. I'm not saying an aspect, but when delving into these aspects and hearing these voices and having these dark thoughts of trying to just end my life, of not knowing if I was really hearing voices or if it was just aspects of thoughts and I was self-creating them, or if there were other people within my mind, if I was really able to cope. Like anytime I heard a different aspect of a mental illness, I started to think that, no, I had that, and I would embody it, and I would start to bring the energy until that would become me, you know? So I was like just taking on all these aspects of negativity. And it would be strange when it could occur. It could be in the background of my mind. I could be happy with friends sitting in a tree talking, and all of a sudden aspects of like trying to kill myself and taking over, and like where I'd feel like I need to like launch myself out, and if I hit my head at this angle, it will look like it was an accident, but I would still be dead and no one would know that I killed myself. And there's like constantly battling with these aspects of like someone taking over me. And I remember sometimes when I wouldn't even be conscious, and some of my friends would tell me like I would just be gone, and it was some other person was almost like talking. Sometimes my eyes would roll back, and one time people had to pin me down, and I was feeling that someone had even like possessed me. I was like choking and choking. I couldn't breathe. I wasn't choking. My hands were pinned down. Like grapes were coming onto my throat. Like this aspect of like someone taking over, in this aspect where I was in all these negative states of mind, of consciousness, of emotions. I was cutting. I was just so lost in so many ways. And it was scary, scary point in my life. Like, I'm so surprised that I'm alive. I remember trying to take my life in some subtle ways that, I mean, if I really wanted to, I would have taken greater precautions and made it actually happen. So I'm glad I never did. But in those aspects of like losing yourself so much, or so much worth, that is like you're wanting to escape because you're in so much pain, you're in such a dark place, that seems like the only answer, the only option. And that's kind of like the state I was in for several years, on and off. But I would still sometimes have these peaks of joy that were just random. So it was really baffling and hard to deal with this fluctuation of emotions, of moods, of thoughts. And during this time, in this vibration of my life too, I was in this aspect of this scenario of an attempt of murder, where I got caught into, I guess, as well, where at work, most people, like there was only really two people, my manager and me, working at the store, running the store. And so my manager's partner would come in and help as well, but wasn't like technically hired. And I was also working a couple other jobs and going to school, but this when I came into work one day, there was blood on the ground, and I didn't know what was like going on. But my manager, and there was like this little baby crawling on the ground, and then my manager was just like, "Hey, can you clean up this blood?" Like, my child just had a really bad bloody nose. Like, I had to go, and so I like clean up all the blood, and they leave, and I work my whole shift, and then I go to my other job, and then my manager had come back, and I'm then getting all these calls from while I'm at my other job, and finally I like break away and call back, and it's like the regional managers and police and other aspects, and so I say, well, I'm at work, I'm almost done, I'm like, let me come back and stuff, and I come back, and it turns out like it wasn't an aspect of a bloody nose, but an attempt of murder, of stabbing in the neck of my manager's child. The partner had stabbed, and then they had run off and stolen all the money in the store, and they thought drugs were involved. So like I was then caught up with this investigation as I cleaned up the blood on video of this aspect, and they had run off with everything, and they thought drugs were involved. So then I had to deal with all of this on top of all my other like emotional things going on, and other managers that had taken advantage of me in some ways, and sexually in other ways, and gone forward. And so it's like I just never felt like I had trust in other ways. And so there's like this whole build up of like hardship, where before, like growing up, I felt so connected spiritually, so developed, so like free, so lighthearted, and then to have this shift or this period of my life of years where it's just like so negative, so dark in so many ways, that like I turned to look for anything, because I was just like, this can't be it, like this can't be life, like it was like a start, like a little bit of that memory, and it was coming through of like my childhood, that I was like, okay, I need to get out of this. Like, this was not life. This was not the way like life is intended to be. And it was strange, because sometimes it feels like I didn't necessarily make choices all the time, though I made choices, but it seemed like things kind of just happened to me in a positive sense after. Like, it was interesting, because then there was like people started like coming to me like, hey, do you want this aspect, or like bringing me information, and it was like exactly what I needed at that time. And it was strange, because it slowly just, it was like the universe was getting me out of this place that I did not know how to get out of, that I would have just probably just kept trying to take my life. And as like these other forces around me, these other people started to help draw that light out, it was just beautiful, because it was like I didn't know what to do, and yet all of a sudden it was like everything was happening to me, and I was being lifted out by some grace of who knows what or how, and for me now, like that's why I give my life to God in an aspect of the infinite, because I know at that point, without any aspect of a doubt, that there was a soul, that I was beyond all of this. No matter what was happening to me, around me, it didn't matter. But what I became from it, that's what mattered. How I chose to react, that's what mattered. And so as I progressed, and I started to get back in tune with nature, sitting with the trees, feeling the energy from the trees, the words of wisdom. Sometimes the trees would speak to me words of wisdom. It wouldn't just be from people. The trees would speak to me. Any aspect, it was just like these divine inspirations started just coming. I started getting into this aspect of meditation. And that's when I knew my guru came and pulled me out. That's when I had a vision of my guru, and then had him bring me into this path a year later, without even knowing that that's what I was first seeing a year back. That he was secretly holding me in his arms, guiding me through that dark time, that no, you can get through this. By my grace, I'll lift you out. I'll lift you out, and I'll prepare you and give you a foundation to rebuild your empire of your life, and remain in your inner castle of peace, where nothing can touch you. You can remain unshakable amidst the crash of breaking dawn. I don't
That
know.
is
Sorry.
so powerful, so deep, so resonating. Yes, it comes from choice. You chose to see the brighter side, and the universe gave it to you one by one step at a time. Um, it helped you, even though you personally don't know what to do. That moment you make a choice to change, everything around you will help you in that. It will shift to help you. And yeah, you just have to see it. It's so deep. You have to become very sensitive.
It's very vulnerable
Yeah,
sometimes at that time.
that's where power comes in. Invulnerability. Yes. That you were meant for something bigger. You were meant, that is why all that happened to you, because you were not in the right place. You were meant for something bigger, something greater. And now you have that, and you are continuing to grow on that. You are so young. You have so much more to learn, and you already know so much. This is, yeah, yeah. And I'm so happy we can speak on this topic, because this is everything. This is life. This is it.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for being open and receptive and understanding to
Of
all of
course.
that.
Of course. I've felt the same pains that you have felt, but obviously in a different line, in a different aspect. Um, I can share mine a little bit. So a year ago, again with my back situation, a bit like bulging and not being able to walk, I had to deal with so much regarding work, regarding doctor's appointments, regarding just pain in general. I was, whenever I went to my appointments, that's the only time I would go outside. I would have to lay in the trunk of the car. So we have an SUV, so we would just pull down the back seats, and I would have to lay there as my mom drove me. So it would be a little awkward, opening the trunk to get out of the car. But that is what I had to do, and there was essentially no other option for me. Everywhere I went, I laid. Um, I couldn't sit, I couldn't stand, I couldn't do anything. I had to lay down. Even if it was on the ground, I had to do it. So I saw a lot of ceilings in those 44 days. Um, and on top of that, I was on medication. And the type of medication that they would give me were, the symptoms obviously do say depression. And if you have suicidal thoughts, talk to your doctor. But I didn't really notice. When you're in depression, you don't, at least in my sense, I didn't really realize I was in depression. I was just in severe pain. Um, my body would vibrate with this painful energy. I would feel electric shocks going up and down my spine. I would have muscle spasms anywhere from like 5 to 10 times a day. Um, and I was in so much pain. Like, pain was the only thing that went through my mind. That anything anybody else told me, even if it was like words of like kindness or whatever, I would take it as hate, and I would just like reflect anger. And oh, it was such a horrible time. And again, like you said, I'm surprised that I was able to get through that. Sometimes we can withstand more than we know. And for me to be able to go like withstand all that pain, and towards the end I'm like, I can't like do this anymore. I think I would be happier if I were just dead, if I was just gone. And at that point you don't really care about what others think. Like if like my family knew that I was not there anymore, like for me in my position, it was like a relief, like a release, because I was probably a burden on them, you know? I'm like, everybody will be happier if I were not here at this time. I wouldn't be in pain. I wouldn't, bother my family. And after my surgery, those thoughts continued. So after surgery, I needed time to recover. Um, I used my grandma's walker to learn how to walk again. Um, I took it one step at a time, one tiny step at a time. My feet like would go like this until a week later it would go like this, like a little farther, and then a week later a little farther. I could put my steps out farther and farther. Um, and the negative thoughts continued. I realized my body was healing, but my mind wasn't. So there was a disconnect. That's where my cousin showed me a video. She said this will probably make sense to you if you watch it, and if you just listen to it, basically is what she said. She sent me the video. And I don't know if you've heard of Dr. Joe Dispenza, but it was his video. He was in an interview. He studies, he was a chiropractor, but he got in an accident. So I was already able to relate to him because of our spinal problems. So when he mentioned that, and then he went deeper into how the mind works with the body, during that video, that is when enlightenment happened to me. That is where I felt this beam of light. It felt like a puzzle piece connected. Like I finally was able to click in that last puzzle piece in my brain where everything made sense. And ever since then, I'm like, I have this like control center in front of me. It's like a video game. And I know my controls now. Whereas before I was just doing it aimlessly, or doing it just very, very surface level. Now I have a deeper insight into life and how I control this vehicle, this character in this world. So my enlightenment happened after, like, when I saw the disconnect between mind and body.
Well,
Yeah.
and I love that whole concept of completeness, that puzzle piece, that just completed you. The analogy too of like the control panel, like being able to be there and be the one in control. Like it's so pure, so
Yes.
beautiful.
Yes. It's almost like having two of you, but you are.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. There's so much to learn. And I felt like I had a chemical imbalance because of the drugs that I was taking. I'm like,
Yeah.
I remember telling my cousin, like, I don't think I can come back from this, because these drugs have chemically solidified my brain waves or brain paths into this. Like, they have changed it. I'm like, I don't know how I'm supposed to come back. It takes a lot of internal power, a lot of will, a lot of willpower to be able to change. But if you want it, if you really want it, it will happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. And how true that is. How true that is.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we've both been through darkness, but if we hadn't gone through all that, we would not be here today
Yes.
talking the way we do right now. So
Yeah. Sharing consciousness and love.
I love that. Do you have anything you want to share? Because I think I'm out of topics.
Oh, um, one more thing, I guess, is more on the aspect of consciousness and love, and the unity, and the practical application and the reason behind it from something like that I used to do when I would travel to different countries and even here, but like I tried it also to see in other ways, and it's an experiment. So it would be fun for other people to try as well. But I'll just start because it's an aspect of smiles, and I think smiles are so pure, so beautiful if genuine. Like if it's a true smile, not a forced or a movement of the mouth. I don't think a movement of the mouth is a smile. But when a smile is smiling from your heart up through your mouth and through your eyes, and joy is singing evermore of the beautiful love that's expressing of consciousness, it's different. But like, why is it when if someone smiles at you, you smile back? It's an aspect that, in my opinion or my observation, that it boils down to what we are or who we are. I mean, if we're not this name, we're not this body, like these are vehicles for us, or aspects, or characters, or emotions, or thoughts, but we're this aspect of the soul as our true nature. And the characteristics of that soul would be ever existent, always existing, ever conscious, this aspect of consciousness and awareness, and ever new bliss, that bliss that if we relax down enough, we already are. We don't need to seek things from. So now, if we're going down and out through the senses with our energies, and we're out and interacting with the world, but someone takes the time to consciously look at you, notice that you're conscious, and smile, show this aspect of bliss. It's them showing they're conscious that you exist. So that first nature of you is opened. You're aware, now you shift your consciousness from the external deeds to the needs and deeds that you need to do to, oh, I exist. I'm conscious that I exist. And this person is conscious that I exist. And they're smiling. That's the joy of them and the joy of my nature because I've now switched the spotlight of my attention. So naturally that smile will come again and exchange it because you're conscious of their existence. So that mutual smiling of bliss, that shared expression would be love, uniting people back. And so when I was going out, I wanted to experiment, whether like going out and every day, people that I come across, when I would go to different countries, I wanted to try in different cultures. A language, even if you can't speak the language, can you speak the language of love? Can you so radiate love through your smile that you change someone's day, that you change someone's perspective, that they stop and notice, oh, I exist. Someone noticed me. You know, and so it's a fun like little thing. You don't need anything to do it other than yourself, you know, and others. And it's such a pure like fun little game you can play throughout the world, whoever you come across, you know. And it's really fun to watch the reactions when you give a genuine smile. So, okay, some people think it's weird, but some you can notice when it changes. So that's something, I guess, kind of related to what we've been talking about throughout this conversation, but like a little challenge for anyone too, as well.
Yeah, I think I would do that challenge. I would accept your challenge and do that. Um just experimentation, like a conscious experimentation to see what happens by being genuine the whole time, of course. Yeah, I believe in that, and I believe love does unite. It is the only energy that humans or anything, any conscious thing lives off of. That is what love is. And to be able to channel that and just solely feel that does take a lot of power. And it is a truly, it's an honor to feel that power and to understand what it is. And it will determine the rest of your life because you have this new grown knowledge where love is everything. And the only thing you can do in love is laugh. And I think that's what Buddha has said, one of his proverbs. The only feeling that comes, you can't feel anger, no pain, nothing exists in love besides laughter. Have you heard of that?
Yes, but in a different aspect of a different word, and in bliss, which is the same aspect. Because when you're blissful, you're just laughing with the love of joy, you know, like.
Yes.
And so it's so true, and I love that aspect because, you know, so many people sometimes act out of other intentions, other like, or out of habit or reaction. But if you're really truly based in love, like you're saying, there can be none of that. Like, you're only going to give love. You're only going to be in joy. You're going to laugh because it's all love. Love is your only reality.
There you go. That is the foundation. That is what in the Bible says you need a house on the foundation. Love is that foundation. Without that, the house might crumble, or you have to pray there's no earthquake because you need that foundation of love. If you have that foundation, nothing can topple you down.
So true.
Yeah. And I always tell my friends, emotions are energy in motion. So if you take that energy and you suppress it somewhere, it's gonna stay. Energies are supposed to go through your body and just have an everlasting flow. But if you take that energy, let's say you're angry or you're hurt or something happens and you're like, okay, I'll think about it later. That in its own way is this, you're suppressing it and it stays in parts of your body. The pelvic area specifically holds a lot of trauma. I learned that really young because once I started doing yoga, I think I was 14. Once I started doing yoga and I had hip expansion exercises to do, I started crying. It was just, I was releasing emotions. I was releasing energy. Just tears started coming. And it was unknown. Like, you know, you don't know what type of traumas you have hidden in what part of your body, but it's a release and it's very healthy. You have to release that.
It's really interesting that you talk about that because it's so true. Like I've experienced many similar things along those some lines of like the body storing emotion, but also in others. Because I'm a massage therapist, and so when like massaging certain people and hitting a certain point in the body, and then them triggering that emotion, like it becomes really crazy, and maybe not necessarily even from them, but like then me as like the therapist, then working out the emotion through me or like through them. It's like really crazy. Like that's when I first started really experiencing like how the body locks on or holds on to these emotions, and it's so bizarre, so crazy that like it can do that within like a muscle, within and fibers of the body that it has that memory. Anyway, and it can do that too for good. Like if you're storing emotions of love and bliss, then your cells are bursting with the bliss, with the love, with the joy.
Yeah.
But too often we're confining it with emotions.
Yeah.
Sadness or hatred, envy.
Yeah. Yes. Those are very what's the word, like those emotions are built on. Those are complex emotions in my opinion. The simplest emotion is love, But obviously over time, over our lifetime, all these experiences, these memories, we have this complexity of emotions, um, which could turn into anger, could turn into misery, can turn into depression, whatever it may be. Um, Digging through all that to find the simple basis of love will help you and others around you find this peace, this inner balance, because we're so overrun with emotion that in a way our bodies are just flowing, they're chaotic, we're anxious, we're moving really fast. You have to find that stillness, that balance, that core. You have to dig through your emotions. That's what I'm trying to say. You have to dig through your emotions to find that one, and that is true peace. Yeah.
Beautifully expressed.
Yeah, because I do believe, like, I have seen a lot of people who are fast moving individuals, and then slow paced individuals. The fast paced people, they have a lot of energy. First off, they're very quick, they're very energetic. They also have all these crazy ideas, these wild assumptions, they jump to conclusions. I've noticed that as well with those people. And the slow individuals, if they're awakened, if they're anything like you and me, they know truth. But if they're not, they're more, I don't know, they're more like mellow. um they just go with the flow, in essence. I think those are two extremes of what people can be. I think it's a balance of both, where beauty resides, essentially. So
That's true.
yeah.
Because I feel like both have its place in the world.
Yes,
Like
definitely.
have some aspect of efficiency. There's
Yeah.
some need of speed with an activity. But
Yeah.
if you're remaining the slow aspect of consciousness
Yeah.
and consciously doing something active versus consciously doing something slow, then
Yeah.
I think that's what you're saying, right? With that balance that then
Yeah.
becomes beautiful harmony where you're able to use both,
Yeah.
where you can slow down and enjoy. But if you need to, you can pick up and do the pace at what you need. So
Yeah.
that's very
Especially,
beautiful.
yeah, in modern times, in today's day and age, that's what we need. Not everybody can go and live a very, holistic lifestyle, or very naturistic, just out in the open. Some people prefer, structure, or government, whatever you want, like capitalism. Whatever, if you thrive in that, you can still do that. It just enhances who you currently are and what your interests are and what you're passionate about. So everything is possible. There is a way for you to consciously continue doing what you're doing, and whatever you're open to, that is what you will attract. So abundance, I think that's a big thing that I learned about. Just the feeling of abundance. If you have that, you're capable of everything, and you're capable of attracting events or situations to you.
Yeah, I love that law of abundance, that energy, that magnetism, that
Yes,
you become a magnet, pulling in what you need, what you want.
yeah, yeah. And I learned that over time, over meditations, over readings of Osho. I read a lot of his books. Um, yeah, and it's just, again, it's like a skill. Everybody needs to, just work on it. But in my opinion, to be a full functioning adult human being, um, meditation is required. I so believe that. You
Yeah.
just
I mean, like, for me, it takes you from surviving in this world
yeah,
to thriving in this world.
yes, I
Like,
agree.
yeah,
I agree.
meditation is just so beautiful.
Yeah. Oh my God. I'm so blessed. We are so blessed.
Yeah. More
Um,
of this.
yes, yes. Um, okay. Any last thoughts before I let you go?
Do you have any other questions?
I don't think so. Because we talked about so much.
We did. It was a
Talked about
divine
so much.
communion.
Yeah. This was a meditation in itself. Because I love talking to people like you. I love having my mind open, and just by speaking, but just by having a conversation, it's very meditative for me, because I can go through all these thoughts and channels, and just this, it's a field of openness, and we can talk about everything and anything, and it's all accepted. So I'm so grateful that you spoke with me and you shared everything that you did. Do you want to plug yourself and where people can find you on Instagram?
Sure, yeah. So if you look me up on Instagram, it would just be under my name, Nathanael Krueger, which the spelling should be, maybe you can put down below.
Yes, 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 I will. And
It's
at
the
the end of
old
the video.
spelling
Yeah. I'll,
of Nathanael. But yeah, no, I also just want to close in honoring and thanking you for having me in this divine communion of souls and awareness of each other's existence, and honoring the energy and the exploration of wisdom, of truth, of expression, of thoughts, and of love, of light, peace, all of these divine qualities, these inspirations. To be able to connect with you in that way and share that is just so beautiful. So, to you, namaste.
oh my God. Thank you. Thank you so much. We need to do this more often.
You're sweet.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much. I hope you have a good day.
As
Let me
well,
know
my
if you need anything. Okay.
and as there are no goodbyes, but just a goodbye for now. Till we next.
No. But you will always be here. I already know how to contact you.
By
Yeah.
the language of the heart and soul.
Yes. Yes. Beautiful. All right. I'll see you
All
next
right.
time. Namaste.
Namaste.